Hey everybody, Randy Kertz here for Making Music. So this month on Playing Well, we will be talking about strings, upper and lower strings. Certainly all have their particular issues as far as how to avoid injuries, as far as lifting the arms, bending, navigating the instrument, etc. But in general, one thing that is common to all string instruments is that players, whether sitting or standing, and this is not only with string instruments, but with many other instrument families, tend to lean to one side when they get in position. If standing, that can mean just sort of setting up with the instrument and then kind of settling in. In this case, I'm leaning to my left, which is a very common thing, especially for bassists who are sort of navigating this large instrument. But the same thing for, again, upper strings, even though they're smaller, still one is liable to set up in such a way that after standing for a while or even sitting for a while, they will tend to lean over to one side and then proceed to make music and forget about the fact that they're leaning to one side or the other. What that does is can tighten muscles in the back, and there's muscles in the back which go all the way up the back to the neck region, so that if one area tightens up, it can affect other areas as well in the spine. So if you lean to one side and your low back starts bothering you, that can certainly affect the middle of the back and up, especially if one is holding up an instrument for a period of time and is already susceptible to those muscles tightening up. And the same thing in a seated position. Players will sit and they may or may not have optimal chairs depending on whether they're playing at home or in performance, or they may have to lean over to view an instrument stand sharing, not a music stand to read music, which they may share with other performers. And in these cases, again, you're leaning over and you're putting your body in a position where it doesn't really need to be, and you forget about it because you're going about the business of making music. So one thing one can remember is to, when setting themselves up, whether standing or sitting, try to have an even balance between the sides. Now, I know that a lot of people may set up with even weight on both sides and then sort of lean to one side or the other as you go on, simply because the body fatigues and wants to do that after a while. So by being aware of that and starting out that way, at least you get a good start. You don't start out in a position that is automatically sort of built into you and you go to it, making it tighten up from the beginning. But when you start with the weight evenly distributed, you're more likely to go to one side or the other because you're aware of it. For instance, you're here, you start to lean, and then you sort of catch yourself doing that, so you lean over to the other side a little bit, or center yourself to sort of take the weight and the compensatory issues off of both sides. So in a nutshell, when you're standing, when you're sitting with a string instrument, just be aware of how you start out. Try to keep yourself evenly balanced, and then during practice, during performance, just make sure that if you catch yourself leaning, you're able to center yourself or lean to the other side for maybe the next song or the next part of the performance, and that way sort of balance everything out. Being in the center all the time is preferable, but realistically, it's going to change. You're going to shift. So again, to be aware of that, to start out that way, to be aware of it and try to shift when possible and center yourself is the best way to go. So again, awareness is key, as in everything else. Thanks for watching. Randy Kertz available at drkertz8@gmail.com anytime. My book, The Bassist Guide to Injury Management, Prevention, and Better Health, is available from Amazon or from my site, drkertz.com. Thanks for watching. Playing Well. See you next time. Bye-bye.